There is one of the records that Arsenal's gonna hate to set. And what's that record? Do you know that Arsenal last conceded a goal in all competitions when they are playing against a team known as Newcastle? That was on 28th of September 2025. Guys, they played Olympiacos. It ended 2-0 in favor of Arsenal. They played West Ham 2-0 in favor of Arsenal. They played away at Fulham. They beat Fulham by 1-0. They hosted Atletico Madrid. It was 4-0 in favor of Arsenal. They hosted Crystal Palace. They beat Crystal Palace by 1-0. And in the midweek, Arsenal played against Brighton and they beat Brighton by 2-0, meaning that those are 6 games and Arsenal have not gone ahead to obviously concede, and they've gone ahead to obviously keep what we call a clean sheet. You understand? That's what we are really in here for, to this channel known as the Rokani Media Football. And this game of football is going to be played tomorrow, and Arsenal is obviously going to be representing at what we call the Turf Moor, right? It's not the Emirates. The stadium is called the Turf Moor, guys. It's not the Emirates. I'm sorry about it. It's called the Turf Moor, and that's where Arsenal is obviously going to be paying a visit to. And Burnley is really one of the stubborn it's one of those stubborn sides that you'll ever obviously come up and really talk about in here and see to it that all really goes on well as to plan. And I want to let you know that the side of Arsenal, has a chance to obviously do the needful and really go more points ahead of a team known as Liverpool, because Arsenal is playing at 18 hours tomorrow. Man United will also be playing at the time. Arsenal will be playing at the time, right? And obviously, Arsenal will find themselves in a position of really playing faster than Man City and Liverpool. Because when you look at the fixtures, Liverpool is playing at 23 hours tomorrow. Arsenal has a chance to stretch the table and really go ahead to lead it by very many points. Remember, as we speak right now, Arsenal is how many points? Arsenal is having 22 points, and Liverpool is having how many points? They are 15, 16. Liverpool is having 15 points, if at all I'm not mistaken, meaning that Arsenal is 7 points clear ahead of Liverpool. And if Arsenal wins tomorrow, they'll go 10 points ahead of Liverpool. And you know who Liverpool is playing? They are playing Aston Villa. That's why their manager went ahead to rest almost all the players that were all the players, and they got knocked out from the EFL Cup, And I went ahead to see some weak-brained people say that he deserves to be sacked, and told them, you guys, unless football is not meant for you, because you can't sack a manager because he has lost or been knocked out of the EFL Cup. And it looks like it was a decision made by the board of Liverpool that, obviously, because we don't have enough squad depth, all we have to do is simple. We have to really divide these players. Let's get some players to play into the EFL Cup and rest most of the team, because almost the entire first 11 was rested and they are charged up for the following games, because they have to play Aston Villa, there is Man City, there is Real Madrid, you understand? And if at all they ask you, Carabao Cup and the Champions League, you choose the Champions League. Carabao Cup and the Premier League, you have to do that, because this is a crucial game for the side of Liverpool. As if Aston Villa comes there and beats them, and Arsenal wins tomorrow against Burnley, they'll be 10 points behind a side known as Arsenal. Something that you wouldn't like to get before you even get to Christmas, because tomorrow is November and we will be some 55 days away from really clocking what we call Christmas. You understand? So that is it all about it. Now, Arsenal played in the midweek and they beat Arsenal which team did they beat? Brighton by 2-0 at the Emirates. It was Bukayo Saka on target and a player called Ethan Nwaneri. They were on target. And them being on target, it was a hell and brace, and that's how things went ahead to happen in there. So from there, they are going to be playing against a team known as Burnley. For Arsenal, Martinelli is out. William Saliba is out of this fixture. Odegaard is out. Kai Havertz is out. And Jesus is out, plus Noni Madueke. Those are 6 players injured, and they're totally out of this particular fixture. The other players that might obviously really show up, shockingly, after the international break are Jesus, Odegaard, Noni Madueke. You understand? And maybe Martinelli and Saliba. But in the coming fixtures, they might not really feature predominantly into these key games that Arsenal are really going to be playing in there. From there, we obviously get to a side known as Burnley. Let's get to Burnley and see what Burnley is like. Burnley, when you look at the team news for Burnley, they're having Leslie Ogechuku was a late enforcement change in the 5-goal thriller with Wolves, but there are no serious concerns about the midfielder availability of Saturday. However, Jordan Bayer is out with a hamstring injury. Zeki Amdouni is having an injury. Connor Roberts is having an injury. That is it. The provider of 2 assists at the Molineux, that is Quinsley Hartman, has now set up 4 goals in the Premier League in his contribution, so he's obviously going to be a variable. And that really takes us to the probable starting 11 for the club of Arsenal. And let's get well into this. The formation is a 4-3-3 system, and we know that's the manager of Arsenal really prefers to play in there. We obviously have in goal. Remember, Arsenal rested 8 players, and it's most evident that these 8 players will obviously show up. Though there is a player that I think is going to start, for the very first time to start 2 consecutive games this season. But let's start in goal. It's Raya coming in through for Kepa Arrizabalaga. That is it. Kepa Arrizabalaga is coming in through for a man known as... Raya is coming in through for Kepa Arrizabalaga. He kept a clean sheet, and he continues to pile pressure to his fellow Spaniard, and is telling him, I'll continue doing well, and you two continue doing the needful. We go to the back 4, right back. Benjamin White started in the midweek, and I think Julian Timber comes in through to do a very important role into that particular game of football. And for that second goal that Arsenal went ahead to score, you saw his contribution in there, Julian Timber. And the left back, Lewis Kelly started. He even had an assist. And for this particular game, I know the first choice left back for Mikel Arteta is Ricardo Carafiori, and he comes in through to do the needful into this particular fixture. Right-sided centre back with William Saliba out, the manager will obviously have to bring in Mosquera. You understand? Mosquera. And he really played very well when they're playing against Brighton. He played a very huge part that really kept Arsenal into that game, especially in the first half, where Brighton had 8 shots. Hear me out. Brighton had 8 shots, at the goal of Arsenal, and the goalkeeper went ahead to make like 4 good saves, and others would have gone ahead to turn into shots, but were blocked by Mosquera and Hincapi. That is the back 4 for the club of Arsenal. We head to the left-sided centre-back, rested and later brought on. That is Gabriel Magalhaes, and that means Hincapi will be out, and Gabriel Magalhaes will come in through and push in a well-desired fight into this particular fixture. In the midfield, Nogard started, but this time around Martin Zubimendi will come in through and obviously start into this particular fixture. Then we will have Mikel Merino rested with that flick that resulted into the assist of Lewis Kelly, that resulted into the goal of Ethan Nwaneri that opened up the fixture to that broke the dreadlock in there will obviously be replaced by Declan Rice, according to me. Then number 10 position with a player known as Nwaneri scoring, and he was playing that position. You obviously feel like maybe the manager will reward him and say, you put up a very huge fight and let me obviously give you a chance to start in here. You understand? But again, you understand that this is a manager who will not want to make risks. If you've been following up on Mikel Arteta, he's a manager who doesn't want to obviously risk, and you'll be like, I would rather go in. I would rather go strong and really field this guy known as Eze. So I prefer Eze, but if I'll see Ethan Nwaneri starting in that position, I won't really get shocked. I tell you, I won't really get shocked and won't really get moved if at all Ethan Nwaneri gets his second consecutive start for the very first time this season. Then the left forward, we start with the right forward. He came off the bench and scored. You know, that is Bukayo Saka. And in a game like this, you anticipate he's going to come in through for Max Dowman, who started, and then Saka came off the bench and went ahead to put in a very huge effort in there. Left forward, it was Ebelechi Eze who started in the midweek, and I think Trossard came off the bench and showed to us as to why. Rokani David has always been right onto this player. He's the best left forward at the club of Arsenal. You saw him come off the bench to play against his former club, and he put in a very huge shift. We are talking about Leandro Trossard and maintaining his position in that left back position. Leading the line, no worries and no doubts about it. It's none other than Gyokeres. And I think this is one of the games that you should put your money on. You should bet on this lad to come in through and obviously bury that ball at the back of the net. I know he has taken long without scoring, but I know in this particular fixture, he will obviously see himself scoring a very, very beautiful goal. That is Victor Gyokeres for you. In there for you. So that is my probable starting 11 for the club of Arsenal. Tell me your subtractions and additions in this particular fixture, and the rest will be history in there. So from there, we obviously head to the team of Burnley. Burnley have the Brevka, Kyle Walker, Twanzebe, Esteve, and Hartman. That is the back four. Florentino, Callan, and Brand Larsen, midfield three. Ugechuku, Anthony, and Fleming will play as the front three. And remember, they are managed by Scott Parker, a manager who is really good. And I just believe that he just needs a team that really understands him better. And the moment he gets a team that understands him better, he'll put out performances that everyone will come in here and obviously admit that he is the lad and he is the guy. So that is what I really have in here for you. But there are some things that you need to understand about this particular game of football. Burnley comes into this game of football when they are 16th. You understand? And Arsenal is leading the table. Burnley has gone ahead to collect 10 points. Arsenal has gone ahead to collect 22 points. Burnley has scored 12 goals. Arsenal has scored 16. So that means Burnley are really a good side, and they're really scoring 12 goals so far in 9 games. And if at all they average that, I see them not getting relegated. You understand? Their recent fixture, Burnley beat Wolverhampton Wanderers by 3-2 at the Molineux, and Arsenal beat Brighton by 2-0 in there. Now, the head-to-head, they've played 98 games. Arsenal has won 48. Burnley has won 29, and they've drawn 21 times. That is it. And in the previous competitions, in February 2024, Arsenal beat Burnley 5-0 at the Turf Moor, this exact stadium in there. November 2023, Arsenal beat Burnley 3-1 at the Emirates. And in January 2022, Arsenal drew with Burnley 0-0. Now, before I bring you my predictions, let me read to you the following. Burnley have won just one of their 18 Premier League games against Arsenal. 4 draws, 13 losses, picking up a 1-0 victory at the Emirates in December 2020, So they've only won once, in 18 Premier League fixtures. Arsenal has been finding them and really beating them badly. Secondly, Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 11 away league games against Burnley. 6 wins, 5 draws since a 2-1 loss in December 1973 under Batimi in there. Then, Burnley haven't scored more than once in any of their 18 Premier League games against Arsenal. 9 goals in total, the most any side has faced another without scoring twice in a match. So that means every time we've gone ahead to see Burnley score a goal, it has been 1. They haven't gone ahead to score 9 goals. Sorry, more than 1 in the 18 fixtures they've gone ahead to face Arsenal. Now, Arsenal has won 23 of their last 24 Premier League games against promoted sides, including the last 13 in a row. The only exception is this run. In this run was a 1-0 defeat at Nottingham Forest in May 2023. You understand? So that's exactly what you're really having in here onto the Rokani Media Football. And that's what I had for you. And I'm going to be signing out for now. My prediction, I had forgotten. Arsenal 4, Burnley 0. That's my prediction. I know it's going to be a goal galore. And with these players rested, guys, Raya was rested. Timber was rested. Magalhaes was rested. Carafiori was rested. Zubimendi was rested. Rice was rested. Gyokeres was rested. Saka was rested. Trossard was rested. And I made a mistake. The manager rested 9 players who obviously going to come in here very, very fresh. You understand? So that's all about this game of football. And feel free to go into the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are about my prediction, probable starting 11, and so on and so forth. Rokani David remains my name. And I sign out for now. See you later. Don't look anywhere, just continue subscribing to this channel because we want to hit 30,000 subscribers. The winter transfer window is on the way. And I tell you what, very many players are obviously going to be linked to the club of Arsenal during January transfer window, according to the injuries that Arsenal are really having. And just get to know that no sooner we get from the international break, you'll know what will be in the news. It's going to be transfers. And as usual, we drop you those transfers keenly in here onto this beautiful channel. And good night.